time to spring into new seasonals. Am I right? I haven't done a seasonals video in a while, cause frankly, I haven't really wanted to. Plus the prior seasons have been pretty bad, not gonna lie. However, this season has more than 2 originals that I've really enjoyed, so I thought it would be fun to just hop back into the seasonals video for this spring. I know it's later in the season, but it seems like that's how I roll anyway. So without further ado, here are the Spring 22 seasonals that I happen to like. The Big Daddy of the Season. A highly anticipated show that I've actually read a little bit of. I was so excited when they finally announced it because I enjoy this manga, and it's one of the only shows where I've read the source before watching the show, so I can see the differences. Now I don't think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread like everyone else has been saying, but it's a very solid show. Now Spy X Family, or Spy Family, however you want to call it, is about the best spy, Twilight. He has to gather intelligence on a politician named Donovan Desmond, but the only way to see him is at the meetings that he attends for his son at his school. So Twilight is tasked with infiltrating the school with a makeshift family in order to get to that meeting. But the family he ends up assembling happen to all have secrets of their own, and only the girl knows the secrets of her parents. Can they achieve the missions assigned to Twilight? You'll have to watch to find out. Anyway, this show has a lot more going on than that interesting premise. It's also a family drama mixed with spy intrigue mixed with comedy. It has a lot going for it. Anya is the kid Twilight, or his alter ego Lloyd Forger, has picked up. She and all the other characters have an interesting background. Anya is an Esper, or a mind reader. Only a few knew about her powers, so they ran a bunch of tests on her. She eventually runs away and has been to various orphanages until Lloyd notices her intellect and picks her up. In actuality, she just reads the minds of people to get by. She's the main source of the comedy. She had been pretty sheltered, so she's like an average 4-year-old. She asks questions, does cute things, and gets into a lot of mischief. She's literally a reaction face machine. Her faces are so funny. It's also interesting that she can hear the inner thoughts of people. Because of this, she knows that Lloyd is a spy and has a mission that relies on her. She also knows about the mother too, but they don't know about each other, so that's pretty interesting to me. Speaking of the mother, her name is Yor, or should I say, your new waifu of the season. She's a so-called government worker, but she's actually an assassin. The way her and Lloyd meet each other is pretty funny, and how their goals mesh together to actually want to join Lloyd's fake family is pretty fun too. While being this mother figure, she does everything in her power to protect her loved ones with her assassin skills. It's cool and pretty funny at times. Also gotta mention that this was voiced by Sayori Hayami again. She has such a recognizable voice, and it actually fits Yor really well.
偽りの家族だってことは分かってる。でも、私あの子にもっと母親らしくしてあげられないでしょうか。
I was a bit worried when I saw the casting, but she's literally perfect for the role. Lastly, we've got Lloyd. The whole reason behind why he became a spy is to protect people so that they wouldn't have the life he had when he was little. Just establishing a little motivation behind why they do things also adds so much to a character. This series is also made by Wit Studio and Cloverworks, another joint project. Seems like it's becoming more popular now after Darling in the Franxx. Although, anime studios usually outsource to other companies to help out with various production needs. I just assumed that the joint project is splitting that work 50-50 rather than like 80-20. The job that both companies are doing is stellar so far. They've adapted it pretty well, and I've even added new scenes to it, which is pretty fun. I really enjoy the music too. It's like a 60s detective show, and that's pretty fun. The opening is pretty okay, I don't really like it that much, but I like the ED way more. Anyway, that's Spy Family in a nutshell. If you want a fun slice of life with action and comedy, you can't go wrong with this one. It's on Crunchyroll. The most unexpected show of the season. I saw this show's premise and was instantly interested in it, but I was worried that it was just going to be a joke. I'm happy to say that this isn't the case. Your Boy Kongming is about Kongming, a Chinese general who was part of the Three Kingdoms. He was known for his very skilled knowledge of strategy and dominating the competition. One day he dies and gets literally isekai'd, but instead of going to a different fantasy world, he gets transported to modern day Japan. He somehow stumbles across the underground Japanese club scene and becomes enamored with a young girl and her talent for singing. From here, he becomes her manager, and the two of them actually try to succeed in this tough industry. Now that premise is wild, but what's even wilder is that it's actually good. I thought this was just going to be some gimmick where we would follow Kongming fooling around in the present, but it actually has an interesting story to tell. Eiko, which is the woman Kongming stumbles across, is a girl who wants to become a great singer, but with such little knowledge of marketing herself, she's struggling. With Kongming's eye for strategy and her determination to become a singer, they do their best to become recognized. This is one of the main reasons why I like this show. Kongming is a strategist, so when Eiko is in trouble, he uses the tactics that he learned in battle to help Eiko succeed, and it's part funny and also part really cool. The funny aspects don't only come from the tactics, but the manager and Eiko herself. The manager is a huge Three Kingdoms nerd, so he nerds out with Kongming about the various battles and whatnot. Eiko is also another reaction face machine. She has a pretty bubbly personality, and the way she reacts to things is just so funny. While the strategies are funny, they do take inspiration off the real Kongming. Supposedly, this version of Kongming is very accurate to the actual Kongming, and that's cool for a show that has this strange premise. Seeing what he'll do next feels like one of those strategy shows like Kaiji or Death Note. It's that engaging. Also, the music is great, but it has to be great. It's a musical show after all. The opening is very catchy, and I also love the ending as well. Super catchy. This show is made by PA Works, who are famous for things like Angel Beats, Another, and Makia among other things. They usually make a bunch of original shows, but funny enough, this is their first manga to anime adaptation, and they're doing a great job so far. Anyway, if you want to watch it, check it out on High Dive. That's so potato. Who has High Dive? Now, I haven't watched much of this show, one episode to be exact, but from what I did watch, it seems like your average rom-com, but with a twist. The MC already has a girlfriend, rather than him pursuing one. That's just crazy to me. The MC usually is always a loner, but he has a girlfriend here. Interesting. Anyway, this show is about how Shikimori isn't always as she seems. Everyone thinks that she's cute, but she's much more than that. She can be dominant, aggressive, and has a cool dark side that comes out every once in a while. It's like they're trying so hard for this to be the waifu of the season. She's such waifu bait, it's crazy. Too bad she's in the same season as Yor from Spy Family. Anyway, from the first episode, it was enjoyable enough. Our main character is the unluckiest person you'll ever see, and Shikimori is always there to protect him. That's the main flaw of this show. The MC is like a doormat. He's kinda boring, and Shikimori is just so perfect and interesting. I just wonder how they're together. Maybe they'll talk about that later, but I don't know. I enjoy the opening of the show a lot, and I really enjoy the character designs too. It's made by Doga Kobo, and they've made so many moe blob shows that I was surprised about the direction they're going with their newer shows. They look more realistic, but still deal with moe stuff or romance. In any case, it looks good. Check it out on Crunchyroll if you're into this show. To be honest, I didn't really know what to expect with this show, other than the fact that it had a loli looking girl in it. Loli is just a word for child, honestly. Some people were making funny jokes about how if they watched this show, they would go to jail, and for good reason. The person who made this has only made loli related things, so I was kinda worried about it as well, but I can safely say that this show is actually really great. So this show is about Raido. It's his first year in high school and he wants to make some new friends. He starts out by befriending his desk mate, but little does he know, this desk mate is extremely quiet. Later, after getting to know her a little more, she mentions how she doesn't have any friends and doesn't know social cues and whatnot. So Raido and Aharen, which is the girl who Raido befriends, do a bunch of things to get to know each other better. Now, I have no idea if this is a romance or not, since I've only watched one episode, but what I can say is that this show is really funny. Raido always looks very serious, but he's like the straight man to Aharen's nonsense. Aharen does a lot of funny stuff, like how she gets way too close to Raido to talk with him, and so much more. I was actually laughing out loud at this show. I haven't had a chance to continue it yet, but I've seen so many funny clips that I have to watch more of it. It's animated by a company known as Felix Film, which is a relatively unknown studio, but honestly, it looks really well done, and I'm excited to see what they come up with next. I know they're doing MF Ghost, which is a spiritual successor to Initial D, so I'm excited about that. Anyway, if you like funny slice of life shows, you'll definitely like this show. Check it out on Crunchyroll. This is another show where I didn't know what to expect. I legit knew nothing about this show, but it really blew me away. Now this show is about a kid named Shinpei, voiced by Natsuki Hanai, who also voices Tanjiro in Demon Slayer. He's come back to his little island town from Japan to go to a funeral of a friend who is like a sister to him. While there, he encounters old friends and just all around hangs out with them. Little does he realize, though, that there's a mystery afoot, and the death of his friend may not be what it seems. It's such an interesting mystery thriller that I was just enamored by everything about it. The animation is done by OLM, who just recently did Odd Taxi and Komi. They know how to adapt things super well and make them look just like the manga, besides Odd Taxi, since that's an original. I think they're gonna be the next big studio if they keep this up. The backgrounds and the character designs look so clean, honestly. I really just liked looking at the show. I also just love how the show progresses. Mystery shows tend to be really slow, but at the end of the first episode, something big happens, and it's shocking for sure. I don't want to say too much since I don't want to spoil it, but think ReZero. That's all I have to say. Check it out on Disney+. Oh wait, it's not on there! Cool to have an anime on Disney Plus for the first time, but nobody knows when it's going to come out for places outside of Japan. Right now we have a Netflix jail situation. Who knows when it's coming out, so for right now, I guess you'll just have to wait or use other means, if you catch my drift. Also, you could use a VPN. I wasn't planning on watching this one, but I decided to give it a try, and it was a pleasant surprise. I heard about how this manga is really good, and how the anime's first 2 episodes are pretty good, and I have to agree. Although I only watched the first episode, I think it's a good introduction to everything. Now, AoAshi is about a kid named Aoi. He's a very good soccer player, but he doesn't really know how to work as a team. Even his entire team relies on him to score all of the points. After an altercation with a member of the opposing team, he loses his chance to get a scholarship to a good soccer school. At first, he's frustrated, but eventually gets recruited by a top soccer coach who sees his potential, and thus starts Aoi's soccer journey. I think this show is interesting, because although our main character knows the sport already, we don't get to follow that journey, but the journey we do follow of this character is slightly different. He doesn't really know how to play with an actual team, so we get to see that development, and I think that's really cool. Something else that's really cool is that this show is made by Production IG, the GOAT of sports anime in my opinion. They really make some hype shows. I really like how the show looks and how it's animated. Soccer shows, at least the last soccer show I watched, had some bad animation, but the ball moves very smoothly, and the player's movement is really nice too. The opening is pretty catchy too. I'm excited to see more of this kid with determination to succeed become a great player. Check it out on Crunchyroll. One episode. One episode was enough to make me drop this show. Now, it's not good, but it's a so bad that it's good type deal. Anyway, it's about this girl named Eve. She's a golf gambler who gambles her money through quick golf games. One day, she encounters this golf prodigy, and Eve swears to verse her again someday. That's about what I got from the first episode. I thought it was pretty boring. The animation's pretty bad, honestly. Not much movement, and it looks kinda sloppy. Although, it's made by Bandai Namco Pictures, and they did Aruma-kun and a season of Gintama, so I don't know what happened here. It's pretty funny to see Mrs. Rainbow Bullet herself, Eve. She's so good at golf that she can do the unexpected. She literally hits a golf ball between a passing train and breaks a tree branch with her super strong drive. It's pretty ridiculous. I might watch more to see if it gets more ridiculous, which I've heard it does, but if you want to watch it, it's on Crunchyroll. Now there were a lot of shows that I couldn't get to, but here are some honorable mentions of shows that I might check out later. A show that I was gonna watch, but I didn't really get around to it because of time and the rating on Mao. Compared to the manga, it was way lower, and I heard bad things about it. But it won't stop me because I can't read. Anyway, it's one of those psychological game anime where they have to go through a series of trials to prove something. I really enjoyed Liar Game, which is similar, so I have a good feeling I'll like this one too. It's actually animated by a relatively new studio, Okuruto Noboru, who did the second season of How to Not Summon a Demon Lord and the hidden dungeon only I can enter. I'll check it out eventually. It's on Crunchyroll if that sounds interesting to you. Only interested in this one because it was made by the person who made Yamada and the Seven Witches, which was good from what I watched. I'm not at all interested in this premise about an arranged marriage and a love triangle. Not interested. I still will watch it eventually though. It's on Crunchyroll. I was really interested in this one, and my interest has just been skyrocketing after seeing so many clips online. This show is literally Romeo and Juliet if Romeo was a Power Ranger and Juliet was a villain tasked with beating Romeo's group. I've been following this since it got announced as an anime, but just never got to it. And from the clips that I've seen of it, it looks pretty funny, so I'll get around to it eventually. New update. After writing this part, I watched the first episode and it's pretty cute and funny. The main character falls in love with her instantly, and it's pretty funny how he approaches the situation. Plus the villain girl plays this tough girl act, but she's just a normal cute girl. It's pretty enjoyable and has a banger OP. It's probably my favorite opening of the season. It's on Crunchyroll if you want to check it out. I'm always interested in sports anime, but this one's specifically about a guy who's interested in ballet, and it's animated by MAPPA? Sign me up, fam! It sounds like an interesting story of a man who's afraid to pursue his passions due to criticism, who comes into his own and accepts a part of himself that he held back. Pretty cool. Reminds me of Welcome to the Ballroom, from the story and even the character designs. Very interesting character designs for sure. I've been meaning to watch it, and just might after this, or even after the season ends. We'll see. Check it out on Crunchyroll. Now, not including the second season stuff that I'm watching, or plan to watch, this is everything that I think is interesting from this season. After a major drought, we finally have some good stuff here. I haven't done this in a while because of this, but also because I haven't really felt like it, to be honest. I had to do it again, however, because there was too many shows that I wanted to talk about, so I might as well talk about every show in the season. If you liked today's video, please subscribe, like, and comment so we can show this to more people. Trying to get to 1K subs, and that starts with you. Thanks everyone for watching, and don't forget, join the Hive Mind.